For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dr. Hamamoto. I am a large animal veterinarian now with UCDavis, and my love, heart, and soul is in rescue medicine and disaster medicine. So I'm actually a part of a team out of UCDavis that's relatively new, that's doing disaster response up and down the state of California. So really honored to be here. Tevis asked me to come this year and be a rescue vet for you. I hope I never see you. Like, I am the person you don't want to see, but if I do see you, know that I will be there for you every step of the way and do the best that I can by you and your horse. So a little bit about me and my background. I'm trained mostly by the fabulous Dr. John Madigan out of UCDavis. He developed this system that I'm going to show you guys today. And really what I do, I'm a veterinarian, right? So I am 5'4" and 130 pounds. So what I'm going to show you is what I feel like I can safely do, but please know that with this talk, this is a team effort, right? So if we're going to actually do a rescue on your horse, it's not only going to be me there to stabilize your horse and focus on your horse's physical well-being, right, as a veterinarian. It's also a matter of there's a whole ropes team that's hopefully going to come with me. There's going to be a lot of people that kind of descend on this situation. So keep that in mind when I'm talking about this. It's not just me showing up out there, because if it's just me showing up out there, we have bigger issues. So I'll do my best. I'll always do my best by you guys, I promise. Okay, so a little bit about what leads to some of these rescues. I know a lot of you guys have a lot more experience than I do on some of this endurance riding situation, so you probably can teach me a lot of things. But over the years, what I've noticed is a lot of it comes down to just exhaustion, right? It's an exhausted horse. You're doing 100 miles in 24 hours. This is an incredible feat of athleticism that you guys are doing. And one wrong step and you're in a situation where you end up seeing me, right? So it's not anything that anyone is doing wrong a lot of the times. It's a combination of a tired horse, potentially some poor nutrition, right? That's why we're always saying make your horses eat, make sure they're as strong as you possibly can. Some inexperience, you know, a lot of people haven't been on these trails and a horse's first time out there, they don't know where to step, so sometimes that'll play a factor. But a lot of the times it's just bad luck. Like 99% of the times it's bad luck and you kind of got into a situation that nobody wants to be in, but it was a combination of all of these things and that's where we are, right? So keep that in the back of your mind too as you're training for these next 3 weeks if you're gonna do the Tevis this year. Like, what can you be doing right now is kind of what I wanna focus on to prevent seeing me. If I do see you, I wanna see you at a vet check, okay? And I will cheer you on. So, worst case scenario, right? You are in a situation where your horse probably goes off a cliff. That's 99% of what happens with us is it kind of steps off of the trail and you're in one of those steep embankments. A lot of things happen. You know, you hear the traumas of the canyons, you hear the traumas of cow loops. That's because a lot of the times it's a narrow trail without a nice spot on one side and a steep embankment on the other. So a lot of the times that's where you get into these situations. What's going to happen? Ideally, in a perfect world, this isn't a perfect world, right? Every Tevis is different, every situation is different. You're gonna have, your SOS rider is gonna come along and they're gonna have communications. Communications are gonna be your lifeline, okay? So you need to make sure that you have your GPS on at all times. Never lose that GPS and make sure it's working before you get on the trail. I know that's a big thing that we're working on this year is making sure that everybody has a GPS. And if you have an SOS rider comes along or if you have someone that can go up ahead and let them know we need to get communications down to you so that we can all radio together and figure out what the best plan of attack is. A lot of times we'll send down a treatment vet to kind of triage the situation. That's due to just proximity, right? So at each of these vet checks, there's a treatment vet, or at some of the stops, there's just a treatment vet or just a line vet, or, you know, everyone is a little bit different. So there are vets stationed along the way. So we'll try and send a vet down to triage what's going on, figure out what's going on, figure out what's needed to safely get this horse out of the situation and make sure the rider is okay. We're also very concerned about you, believe it or not. Like, we want to make sure you're okay too. So, you know, we're kind of taking all of this into consideration when we kind of launch our full force effort. Hopefully this is something where your horse just slipped off, now he's on the side, everyone's scared, totally acceptable. And you're like, hey, I think my horse needs some fluids, but you know, we can probably get him out of here. So a lot of the times that'll just be a treatment vet, treat him down there, and then you guys can safely get out. If it's more than that, then you might end up seeing my bright shining face coming down the mountain, and I really don't want to see you, but that's okay. So if that happens, then I'll come with the team and we'll stabilize not only physically but also with ropes. So the big thing is going to be to get you stabilized on the side of that cliff. The big thing we don't want is your horse to go down further. So that's why you'll see a lot of the times the first thing we're trying to do is get control of that head. So we'll try and stabilize it. We'll get a rope up and onto a tree usually that kind of runs through the halter. And because if you can maintain control of the head, you at least have some control of the horse, right? So something to think about there, and something that I'll show you on Mr. Jeffy over here. Other people that might come with a rescue, the rider, right? So this is your role in all of this. The biggest thing you can do, and you'll hear me say this a lot in this talk tonight, is stay connected with your horse and stay calm, okay? The biggest rescue I've been on so far, I firmly believe that rescue was successful because of the connection that horse and that rider had. That horse looked to his rider the whole time, and he knew that rider was looking at him like, no, we're gonna get you out of here. Like, you need to stay with me, and you need to listen to me, and we're gonna do this, but you gotta trust us. I swear that horse spoke English, and he worked with us the whole time, right? Like, he was looking straight to his owner, and it still makes me tear up a little bit that horse followed him down the mountain. I was yelling at him. I was like, it's not safe for you. I don't want, the horse to go down and then you to go with it. Like, I was terrified of it, but he looked at me and he was like, no, like, this is going to happen. This horse knows me and he's going to follow me. And sure enough, that horse followed him straight down. And we were able to stabilize him at the bottom. And it was the most magical thing I've ever seen. So, still makes me tear up a little bit. So, connect with your horse. Like, this is the ultimate feat of partnership, right? Like, you and your horse are going through this as partners. So you need to know your horse, know what makes them tick. We were just talking to a couple of the more experienced mentors today. We're all gonna cry today, aren't we? And they were like, like, if I was thinking about it, if I was coming up on a rescue, what could I do for my horse in these situations? Touch them all over. Like, I don't know where I have to put a rope on these things, right? What if it's between a back leg because he's gone down a weird embankment and I have to, like, figure out how to get him through his pelvis some way, and I'm afraid I'm going to get kicked. Granted, your horse is probably going to be in a state where he's going to want me to help him, but if it's a situation where I'm not safe too, then it's going to put a whole different damper on the thing, right? So touch your horse all over. Make sure he's kind of desensitized to a lot of different things, some commotion. There's going to be a ton of people that descend on him. We do our best, and Lynn Seeley has been doing the ropes rescues for a very long time, and he's absolutely incredible to talk to, and I've learned so much from him. He will come up on these horses like a ninja. Like, they don't even know he's coming, and all of a sudden he, like, has a rope on him, and all of a sudden they're stabilized, right? So we all do our best to keep the situation under control, but sometimes things happen, and that we know we're trying not to spook them. So the more you can desensitize your horse in these situations, the better, right? Get used to loud noises, get used to all of the things going on, rustles and bustles of branches and things like that. But really just kind of taking the time right now in the next 3 weeks to really be connecting with your horse, right? Know what makes them tick. If I come up and I'm like, hey, your horse, by the way, side note, and now I'm just going on tangents. I don't want to sedate your horse if I'm on there, because I want every piece of life he's going to give me, right? I want him to get down to the bottom of wherever we are, up to the top of wherever we are, and be able to walk out. So ideally, I don't want to sedate them. Please know that. In the situation where it's going to be unsafe for my personnel and unsafe for your horse, yeah, I'm going to give him some sedation, okay? So if you know that your horse is a light sedate, or if your horse is kind of a heavy hitter and I need to hit him harder because now they're in an adrenaline type situation, let me know that. I mean, these are all things that you know, and you know your horse the best. I'm going to be looking to you in a lot of these situations too, right, as the rider, because I don't know your horse like you do. So it's a giant team effort when we get into these big rescues, right? Even the little rescues, if you have someone coming down that, you're like, hey, my horse is doing okay now, let them know what's going on and see if you guys can work as a team to get this horse to safety, okay? We're all not out here to pull you or do all of these things. We just want everyone to get through this safely. So please know that too. Stay calm. Other people that could be in these rescues too are your friends, right? Your riders that are alongside you. A lot of them will stop and help you. Things that you could carry along with you that aren't too heavy and could be easy would be some mash, just like a little bag of mash, or some extra water. Try and give your horse some mash or some water while you're waiting for somebody to come with you. A lot of the times these guys didn't eat at the last stop, right? Or they haven't been eating for the last 3 stops, and then you get into a situation before you get to your next vet check. So these are all things too where it does kind of become putting the whole ride together. If you get a weird feeling or you feel like your horse is just not on that day, it's okay to communicate that too. Communicate that with one of your line vets, right? It's totally okay to go up to them and be like, hey, I'm like a little concerned about him right now. Like, they're not going to necessarily pull you, but they're going to look at him a little harder. And it could be something that could save you in the long run. So, you know, don't be afraid to communicate with us as vets. Like, we're here for you and to get you out of this safely. Other things that you can do to prepare right now, besides connecting with your horse and touching them all over, and I mean all over. Like, if they're bad about something, I mean, work with it in the means, right? Don't get kicked before Tevis, and then you can't ride. That would be really sad. But try and do what you can to get them used to you and get used to these situations. You know, work on having control over their head, like I talked about. Maybe you make sure your reins are something that you could potentially have as a lead rope too. I know I think there was a situation a couple years ago where like somebody had to get a lead rope off of somebody else, which is fine. Maybe that's something you need to make sure that you have, is a way to make your reins into lead ropes, or know that your horse knows that's a lead rope too. So kind of thinking about the different situations that you could be getting in. Other things you can do, have a plan. This is a new one, right? I'm all about disaster preparedness. So if you talk to me about fires, this is what I'm going to tell you too. You can have a plan. Like, you can think about this now. Think about when you go home, like, okay, so my horse slipped his back leg off the trail, right? And he's down, he's got his front legs on the trail, back legs off the trail. What am I going to do? You know, kind of think through some of these situations, right? You're going to stay calm. You're going to try and get him up bound to the trail. Say it's getting worse. That's when you get off. Well, I mean, hopefully you'd get off before that. But, you know, these are kind of things that you can start thinking through now, and think through all of these different situations could be happening. But really, if you're in this and you're not prepared, the biggest thing you can do is stay calm, because the more amped up you are, the more amped up your horse is going to be, right? They're going to feed off of your energy too. So these are all very important things to be doing. So with that in mind, I don't really have much more to talk to you about, in all honesty. Each one of these situations are so unique and they're so team-based. To have just me up here talking to you about like how a rescue is going to go is a little bit criminal, because there's so many people involved, right? And each one of us has such a specific role, and we all work together as a team and train as a team all year. So please know that we are doing our best to try to prevent these situations, and if it happens, then we're going to be there for you. So what I would love to show you is one of my favorite things that my mentor developed, and this is where Jeffy comes in handy, which is called the Equine loop system. Has anyone heard of this? Yeah, a couple of you? Oh, that's exciting. So it comes as this lovely little duffel bag. This is it. This is what I run around with in my truck if I have to get in a situation and I'm the first on the scene, because this is what I am familiar with. I really suck at tying a bowline knot and have to remind myself every single year how to do it, and it never sticks. So what Dr. Madigan created are these really nice webbings that are kind of padded, right? So I think these, honestly, I think you can get these online too, but he has it all patented in a system, so it all comes in the bag with different types of equipment, right? So what you can do is, instead of having to throw a rope and then tie a bowline knot, is say I have this horse off the side of a cliff, right? Can everyone kind of see a little bit? You guys know what's going on. So I can stand behind my horse in a safe zone, right? Where are my zones that I don't want to be? On that side of my horse where it's going to kick me or potentially take me into a really bad situation, behind the horse, and then ideally you always have somebody having control over the head. Granted, this isn't always possible sometimes, right? If your horse is on the steep embankment, and I was trying to get over to one and it was not going well. So that's why we had control over the head with the tree, right? So you're trying to get control over the head in some capacity. But I can pop over, pop my loops on, pop my loops under the head, pull it underneath, and then I have a harness right there, right? And then I can pull him, put more ropes on this, rig it to a tree, rig it to wherever I need to go, and then I'm pulling him wherever I need to go, okay? Another thing that we can do, which I learned on my rescue last year, thank you, is for him, I couldn't have access to his feet, right? He was on an embankment kind of like this, and I wasn't about to pick up one of his feet. That was going to be bad. This is where I heard your voice, Jamie, saying trust your gut. So what I did is I threw it over like this, and this bag comes with these nifty little Velcro straps. So we Velcroed this together. Whoops. Not like that. It was much more graceful than this, I promise. We Velcroed these together. And then the amazing Carol Ann Seeley rigged a rope underneath here. So then we basically had what we call a front assist, which is that last one that I just showed you. So I'll demonstrate kind of what she did. This is the lovely part of these two, is they link together really nicely. So instead of tying a knot, I can just loop them together. And then we held him up like that, if that makes sense. So then I could take him wherever I needed to go. So there's a lot of different possibilities with these loops. You can also make it into an actual vertical harness. So say the horse is laying on its side on a mountain, like this again, and you want to get him up, but you're worried about his hind end, so you don't want to just drag him up from the front end. You can, which the loveliest part about the system too is it comes with this booklet, right? This is where the money is, in all honesty. And it comes with these pictures that are in it. I can pass, you guys are welcome to come look at this afterward as well. And it gives you step-by-step directions. So the idea is, if you're in a situation where you have multiple people, you designate somebody to simply read the booklet. Kind of like those defibrillators that they have now, where it like tells you exactly what to do. That's what this is based off of. So say I want to do a vertical lift, I could simply ask Annette to read the instructions to me. Let's see if we can do it. You can?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Toss the first loop over the upper front leg.
Hi.
Pull the first loop toward you and slide it under the horse's head and neck.
Hi.
Place a piece of duct tape to temporarily secure the loop
I
in
don't
place.
have the patience to get that out of the bag yet, but okay.
Toss the second loop over the lower front leg and pull it toward you.
I'm going to cheat a little bit because that gets kind of awkward.
Right. He doesn't look good, by the way.
He's deflating a little bit.
Pull the second loop toward you. You already did it?
Mm-hmm.
It says twice.
I know. He has revamped this a couple
Slide the second loop under the head and neck.
So when you get in these situations too, it comes with pictures and these little QR codes. This lift is the big thing, is see how it's kind of crossed underneath his chest like this? So the whole design of the system is to support them by their skeletal system, right? So every time you're lifting or pulling or dragging, you're using their sternum, which is nice and strong, and their pelvis. So it's based on lifting from these areas. You'll see people, if you look on the internet, there's a lot of terrifying videos out there. You'll see a lot of people have like girth straps, but that's putting so much pressure on their abdomen, right? Like it works, and of course the horses get out and a lot of times they're okay, but think of how much pressure is being put on their abdomen in these situations, and all of their guts and all of their organs are being pushed up into these areas that they shouldn't be, right? So I'll show you with this next one when Annette keeps me going. You're not done yet, my friend. Go for it.
Going?
Yeah.
Okay, because he did some stuff. Carabiner, duct
Yeah.
tape.
Yeah.
Note that you did it. Pull the third loop. Where are we?
Third loop.
Toss the third loop over the upper rear leg.
Pull
the third loop toward the horse. It lays between the rear legs. Pull the loop underneath the horse's tail so it crosses over the horse's rear.
You're just going for the X's. Okay.
Place the piece of duct tape to temporarily secure the third loop in place.
Okay.
Toss the fourth loop over the lower rear leg. Pull the fourth loop toward the horse such that the loop is between the rear legs. Reach between the rear legs and pull the fourth loop toward the rear.
think he wants it like this.
Sure.
I'd say the pictures really help.
Right?
Yeah.
Pull the fourth loop toward the tail and place the tail between the loops.
Because again, you're
If
going
this was like a married couple,
right?
goes,
Yeah. It really, like, in the heat of things, it's so nice though. So basically what I can do with all of these is you have a full vertical lift harness that he is working on getting rated for helicopters right now, which is so nice, right? Like, he's supported, he's got a nice cross under his sternum here, right? And in the back, probably should have duct taped it, I'm supporting him by his pelvis now. You see that? So it's up in his flanks here, and it's in his flank over here, and it's crossed underneath his pelvis. So I'm lifting him by his sternum and his pelvis. I know. This is what 130 pound gets you guys. So that's kind of a system that I love to use. If I'm the first on the scene, a lot of the times you'll see me drag my loops out. Yeah.
Does that work on like a 3,000-pound cow that has not growing?
Yeah.
Good to know.
It does. Obviously, like, I think they're rated for like 7,000 pounds or something stupid like that. And then all of the stuff that is in here, the carabiners all rated. I mean, they have it rated for really large animals because, I mean, we're thinking we have to lift drafts and stuff too, right? So we're kind of planning for, yeah. I mean, they actually used it.
She didn't fit any of the shoots at Davis.
Oh, well, it probably would have been just fine on her in all honesty. And if not, then you can always use this as a temporary to get one of the more secure lifts on, right? So I don't know if you guys have heard of the large animal lift, which is also developed by Dr. Madigan at UCDavis. That's the one that they use a lot of the times to helicopter things out. And then the Anderson sling, which was kind of the original helicopter sling. So both of those are great too, but sometimes you need to get the horse up in order to get these things on. So a lot of the times that's where the loops will come in nice. You can lift them for a temporary couple of minutes, get a more secure harness on them, and then be able to either lift them away or do whatever you need to do a lot of the times in the hospital, right? If we're just talking about something on the side of a hill or a side of a mountain, this is where I love this because I was able to get that harness on so fast on my rescue last year. And we were able to get him secured to a tree, and it worked out really lovely. So with that, I know there are probably so many questions. There's probably so many things I'm missing. I know rescue's a big hot topic item this year, right? Like, it's a big deal. What I can say as the veterinarian that you might see is I'm there for you, but I need you to know that if you stay calm and you understand my role in all of this too, we're going to be able to work as a team and probably be able to have a successful outcome, right? If heaven forbid it's not the best outcome, then just know that we're doing everything that we possibly can, okay? With that, thank you all.